Hey there. Instead of start just a few minutes early, it's fine. So we can BS for a little bit. That'd be great. You know, um, so I watched this one movie a lot, because I always keep thinking, why would they make this movie up? What is the big deal here about this, the fourth kind? Okay. I mean, it's very strange. I hope that music's not too loud. You got to play some background thing for the strikes that you don't want to get. But anyway, um, so everybody talks about, oh, it's so scary, it's so scary. But here's the thing about it. I mean, it is a mockumentary. Of course, a lot of us know that, but some people may not know that. But honestly, in Alaska, there seems to be more UFO type or alien type sightings than any place else that we know of or that I have heard about. So I was going to pull this up for a minute before we start on this other one and just talk about that, because there are people who say, oh no, the lights are real. This is real. That's real. And you always got to wonder, I mean, why can they see things that we can't? Is it because where we live? Is it because, maybe it's too hot for aliens here? I don't know, but I just wondered a little bit about that. So, Alaska, we'll pull this up like this: Alaska and UFO sightings. It's kind of amazing. All right. Hope everybody's had a wonderful week so far. I'm looking forward to the weekend. It is still so hot in Texas. I don't understand it. And UFO, here we go. Here we go. Let's pull this up for a little bit. Okay. So, Alaska, this is kind of strange, but Alaska is known for frequent UFO sightings, including eyewitness accounts of mysterious lights and a craft exhibiting advanced maneuvers, such as the 1986 Japan Airlines flight encounter. Many local residents report experiences with unusual aerial objects, often leading to the belief that the state is a hot spot for the extraterrestrial activity, a phenomenon sometimes linked to the Alaskan Triangle. So here are some of the key or significant sightings that are actually documented. So in 1986, of course, there was the Japan Airlines flight 1628, where the crew reported being shadowed by two UFOs before a large mothership appeared, which was reportedly tracked by the radar. In 2014, there's a video of a documented saucer-shaped object in the sky. In 2020, there was Wasilla incident. A local man filmed two sets of three lights in a triangular formations, performing silent hoverings and sideways movements. And then there's also in 2020 the Palmer incident. A video showed a strange light appearing and moving and then shooting straight up in an action inconsistent with conventional aircraft. Then there's another one in 2020, the Skagway incident. Now, I've been to Skagway. It's really a small little nothing. So, something, I don't know if anyway, we'll just talk about this. A fast object with an unnatural zigzag motion was filmed. 2024, the Juneau encounter. A resident reported seeing bright orange orbs in a large silent ship with bluish green lights. The reasons for the high reported sightings, this is what they say. The Alaska Triangle. This area is considered a hotbed for UFO activity and has a high number of UFO reports. Military presence. Now, I've often wondered if what they're actually seeing is some kind of developmental military equipment that we don't know about, because, they do keep that secret. We know they do. But the state's significant military presence and radar sites have contributed to the detection and reporting of UFOs. And then there's the native oral traditions. Some reports connect the sightings to long-standing native oral traditions about celestial phenomena. Okay. There's some common characteristics of these sightings, which leads to, hey, Magic Star, so good to see you. I just noticed you there. I was kind of reading and talking, Good. I'm so glad to see you. I hope you're feeling better. I hope everybody's having a great day. But, a lot of these sightings, they talk about the same things, same maneuvers, and that tends to make people believe, well, maybe it's true, right? So the unusual maneuvers are the objects exhibit capabilities such as silent hovering and rapid acceleration, zigzag or right angle turns. Unnatural lights. Witnesses frequently describe unusual lights, including triangular formations, orange orbs, and rapidly appearing. Interactions with aircraft. Some sightings involved UFOs interacting with planes, leading to speculation that they may be studying human technology. So, the further exploration becomes from media. Several television shows and documentaries. I'm doing well, thank you. I hope you're too. Okay. Some documentaries, such as Aliens in Alaska or on Apple TV, explore the phenomenon and then feature the eyewitness testimonies and historical cases. Local accounts. There's a lot of local accounts of people seeing these things and reporting them. Many individuals in Alaska share their experiences through online videos, and local news outlets contribute to the extensive recording of the sightings in the region. So that's just a little bit about why most of these are in Alaska. Now, the story about, the fourth kind, it is a mockumentary, and it is based on these findings and reports and all of these different accounts of UFOs in Alaska. Now, if the story was a true story, I think the ending would tell exactly what the truth was. That it was never, it was never alien. It was this lady having this vision as she was having this nightmare after she took the life of her husband. Okay, that and her baby disappeared, right? So I think that the disappearance of the baby and the taking of her husband's life, she was having some a psychotic experience, and so she has no memory of where this baby is. Now, in the mockumentary, of course, they never find the baby, but I think if it was based on a true story, they would find the baby. That's what I'm going to say about that. So anyway, that's why I wanted to talk about this today. I think it's a great. I enjoy the movie. There are some scary parts to it. The first time I ever saw it, I was amazed at how natural the people playing these parts, how believable they were, because they were believable. I was like, wow, that's really believable. So anyway, let me pull up my little document that I had created, because if I don't have notes over here, I just can't keep up with what I'm doing. It's so silly, I know. Oh boy. So here we go. Well, let's see. Okay, pull my little thing up for this. Oh, come on. Sometimes this. Oh, I have to go to the other one, don't I? Let's see. I have to change my. Let's switch our accounts. Go to this one. Here we go, and it should pull right up. Here we go. So, there's a lot of these mockumentaries that I like to watch or keep up with, or no, that's not the right one. Talk about, because I really enjoy horror shows and thrillers, that kind of things. I like to watch things that are true, but sometimes you can only watch so many of these true stories before it starts affecting you personally, because you're like, how can these things happen over and over and over, right? That's one thing I always ask myself. How can it happen over and over? But it does. Come on, where's my little document? Here we go. Okay, I might have to pull it up this way. Okay, we'll just go back over here. I'll just pull it up from where I started. That's okay. Okay, here we go. Let's see. I'll have to go watch that. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to talk about it. Okay, so in 2009, this film, The Fourth Kind, is just a mockumentary and a work of fiction, not a documentary based on real events. While its promotional campaign and found footage was like the style led to many believe that it was real, but the filmmakers intentionally obscured the truth. Here's the deep dive into what they didn't tell you about this. All right. Here are the events and the characters, and they were fabricated. So, the psychologist, Dr. Abigail Tyler, she played by Mila Jovovich, in reenactment of Charlotte Melchert's The Archival Footage, was a completely fictional character. A quick search at the time of the film's release would have shown no record of a psychologist by that name in Nome, Alaska. Oh no, not a true story. Those are stranger than fiction. They are, aren't they? Okay, then they talk about this found footage, because remember, what was it? Something witches, whatever. There's a lot of film out there that says, oh, it came from the found footage. There's a lot of that. So anyway, the found footage for this particular movie it's some of the scariest scenes presented as real archival video of Dr. Tyler's sessions were staged with actors in a split screen format. The archival footage was juxtaposed with a more professional reenactment featuring Jovanovich. I'm sure I'm not saying, yeah, the Blair Witch Project. There was a lot of that. Then there's the disappearance. Now, let me see. Let me see if I can go play part of this. Now I know because it's actually a really movie. It's a real movie, and we don't want to get a strike for you know copyright. I want to see if we can add just a little bit of this and let it play just a little bit. Just kind of reminder of what actually happened over here for us. So I hope you can hear okay. I don't hear anything. Do you hear anything? Oh, because I can't hear a thing. You hear, hey, Magic Star, can you hear something over there? Is the sound playing? I need to put on my earbud here. Whoops. But I don't want to get that where it gets that double sound thing, you know. Let's see if I can. Let me see if it's playing any sound. Okay, here we go. Okay, maybe I can. Okay. All right. Let me see. I'm gonna put on my little earbud and see if it makes a difference. See if I can hear it. Oh, you can hear? Okay, great. Because I don't, we only play a few seconds, but when I remember when this movie first started and I'm watching this, I was so entranced. I was like, oh my God, she's telling a true story. I did not know in the beginning that it was mockumentary.
In the Northern Alaskan
I'll be honest with you, it took me a little while to figure that out.
The directors included actual archive footage throughout the film. This footage was acquired from Nome psychologist Dr. Abigail Tyler, who has personally documented over 65 hours of video and audio materials during the time of the incident. To better protect their privacy, we have changed the names and professions of many of the people involved. Every dramatized scene in this movie is supported by either archived audio, video, or as it was related by Dr. Tyler during extensive interviews with the director. In the end, what you believe is yours to decide. Please be advised that some of what you're about to see is extremely disturbing.
Just relax.
Okay, we have to stop for just a second, because of the dang. She is gorgeous, isn't she? Because of that dang copyright thing. Because I don't want to get in trouble. You know that. So we'll just leave it right there and talk for a minute. So then it talks about this disappearance. While the film attributes the missing persons cases in Nome, Alaska to alien abductions, real-life disappearances in this area were attributed to far more mundane and tragic cases. The FBI investigated a high number of missing Native men and concluded that most likely causes were alcohol abuse and Nome's frigid temperatures. All right. So, we have a lot of missing children out there, and they just disappeared. There's no film of them anywhere. And people are like, what do you mean? Aliens just picked them up? I mean, it's not funny at all. But the fact that there are cases where people are missing, that there is not one piece of evidence or footage where they could have went or how they left, etc. There really are cases like that out there. But I highly doubt that children are able to disappear without being noticed at all, anywhere, ever. So that's what I'm going to say about that. So we're going to go back over here and we're going to let it start it play just a little bit. Now I'm watching her, and this is when I start getting scared in this movie. Here we go. Nope. Here we go. I forgot I was using the two screens over here. Okay, here we go. There. All right.
I'll ask you questions, and whatever you want to toss in there. You all right?
Okay.
I'm going to try and make this as painless as possible. Can you state your name for the camera?
Dr. Abigail Emily Tyler.
Okay, where would you like to begin?
I guess,
Okay, my dog's in the bar, sorry.
what happened with Will, my husband. I went to my friend who's also a psychologist, doctor, because I was having trouble dealing with how he, with how it happened and who did it.
You don't think you might need more time?
This is scary.
No. This is something. I have to do this. I have to remember his face. I need it. For myself to heal. I have to try. And I have to know that for my children that I did everything that I could
To remember.
Thank you, Magic.
Ashley still can't see. And I don't think that she's gonna get her sight back if she doesn't accept what happened.
Well, I think you both have the same problem, just different symptoms.
Yeah, and I think that it could help if I could just remember the face of that man. So I could somehow track him down and set the record
Okay,
straight.
we're gonna have to stop for a second. Y'all know the drill. Okay, so she starts talking about this man. She wants to see this man. Now, there are some other things that happened because of this movie in Alaska. The marketing, of course, was a deliberate hoax, but the film's most controversial aspect was a viral marketing campaign designed to deceive audiences into believing it was real. And it actually worked because a lot of people do believe or did believe that it was real. I remember at first I thought it was real. I had no idea that it was not real until I started looking at it much later on. And I was like, oh, wow, it was a great story, a great movie. I wished it wasn't just a mockumentary, right? Okay. But if it was a real story, just think what it would lead to instead. I mean, a lot of other, let's see, what's the word I want to use? A lot of other controversies would pop up that would cause further people might be afraid to go to Alaska. I think that's what would happen. We can't go to Alaska. We might get sucked up by the aliens or whatever. But anyway, so then the next thing that happened was this fake news story that Universal Pictures created, complete with articles and fabricated headlines, quotes, and sources attributed to the real Alaskan newspapers like the Nome Nugget and the Fairbanks Daily News Miners. Okay, so people were reading all of this and seeing all this in this newspaper. Well, the next thing that happened was there was a lawsuit that was filed. Okay, but we never heard about that part. The real Alaskan newspapers were not amused. They sued Universal for using their mastheads without permission and attributing false reporting to their organizations. Universal settled the lawsuit for $20,000 paid to the Alaska Press Club and the additional $2,500 donation to the local scholarship fund. That seems like not a lot of money in a lawsuit, right? When they used the real newspaper's headlines and logo and that kind of thing. It just seems like it wasn't enough money, but that's okay. That's what they settled on. I guess that was their business. So let's watch a little bit more of this. The most frightening scene in all of this is when she starts screaming. Here we go. Okay.
Find some closure.
All right. Do you want it on video?
Yeah.
Counseling. Fellow psychologist is like
Scary.
talking to myself.
You always say that.
I do? Oh my God. All right. Let's just try to relax, make yourself comfortable. Listen to the sound of my voice as I count back. 10,
9.
8, 7,
Get ready. Trigger warning.
6. Your eyes are getting heavier.
And heavier. 5, 4. They're almost closed.
3, 2, and 1.
Very good,
Abby. Very good.
Let's go
Back
back
in
in
time.
time.
Back into the past.
The
The
night
night
of
of
August 2nd of this year.
What was the weather like?
Warm. Warmer than usual. Even though
Ooh.
it's raining outside.
Okay, good. Now, let's go back to when you were with Will. Just before the intruder entered your room.
Making love.
Visual warning. Forgot about that scene.
So nice.
Uh-oh. Okay, we gotta stop.
Good.
Hang on, guys.
What happened?
Okay, so I just got that little thing that flopped up that says, copyright notice for stream was interrupted due to deep kind. Okay, listen, I'm going to tell you what this exactly says, which makes me so irritated. It says, streams are interrupted when copywriting content is detected. After copyrighted materials is no longer being streamed, streams are automatically enabled. Okay, so we're going to have to stop that. We can't live stream the damn movie, but that really sucks because you got to show parts of it for people to understand where these things take place. So I'm just going to remove it from the stage. It's not a big deal. We'll just keep talking about it, okay? It's all right. I mean, worse things have happened, Think about it. All right, so let me just come up here. We'll do this a different way. It's all right. It's all right. This is the thing that doesn't make any sense to me. Why in the world are people over there replaying everybody else's content all over the place, but they don't get content strikes? I mean, it's my understanding if you change or talk about it, give some insight to what's going on, it's under fair use. It's okay. So anyway, we'll just go with it like this, and I'll just have to fight with him later. It's okay. So let me go back to where I was, and we'll just talk about, okay, so then there was the public fallout up to what happened. Let me put myself back on the stage. Add to stage. All right. The public fallout from what happened was huge. Okay, so the marketing campaign was widely criticized for trivializing for real tragedies that occurred in Nome. So Melanie Edwards was vice president of the tribal organizations of, I think it's called Kawrak Inc. It's Kawerak Inc. Okay. Edwards is the vice president, and she called the movie insensitive to family members of people who have gone missing. Okay. So then it comes back, and there was another thing going on about this movie that they were fighting about. It was like it said ethical lines were crossed. Unlike the campaign for the Blair Witch Project, which also used a viral internet hoax, the fourth kind was accused of taking things too far by linking a fictional plot to real people and real places. Well, aren't all movies like that? Aren't all movies, or even mockumentaries, or the Trailer Park Boys. Let's use that for an example. Some people know who the Trailer Park Boys are, some people don't. But they are real life people who actually do live in Nova Scotia and actually do have businesses and talk about things that really happen there. So I don't really understand how they can say that unethical lines were crossed. I mean, there's a lot of stories that are put out where people talk about the real life story and the real life people. So then it goes. The next thing that made everybody unhappy about this movie was exploiting the tragedies. The filmmakers exploited a known string of real life tragedies, twisting them into a sensationalistic alien abduction story. This was particularly offensive to indigenous communities in Nome, whose high percentages of missing persons was ignored in favor of a whitewashed fictional narrative. Okay, so I don't really, in my opinion, not that mine counts because it's not important, in my opinion, I don't really think that is a fair statement about this movie. Because in this movie, they're talking about what happened to one person and how she's remembering it. Now, there is another person that comes into that office and gives some story about being part of an alien abduction as well. But they're not talking about all the indigenous people or all the other people that are missing. They're only talking about these two situations. But in the end, when you go back and you watch the very end of it, and the cop is sitting with her when she's in the hospital and she's coming to from this incident, and he's asking her what really happened, because what really happened, it wasn't alien abduction at all. I mean, it really shows that she used the knife on her husband. There was no intruder. Okay. So then it goes on to the next problem with this movie is fueling misinformation. Well, all movies have parts that are not true and true, which also could be considered misinformation, as far as I'm concerned. This film's insistence that it was a true story and the studio's fabrication of evidence to support that claim was criticized for potentially blurring the line between fact and fiction in a harmful way. Now, I got to disagree with that because I don't think that's exactly true. you know, there's all, I kind of disagree with that. It is a story. It is told that it is a mockumentary. It never said it was. If you know what the word mockumentary means, then you know it's not true. It's not based on a true story. It's based on a rendition of something that somebody decided to just turn into. It's almost like a play that's been turned into a movie. That's the way I'm going to look at it. So then there's this creative decision was obscured. All right. The actors addressed Jovovich. I know I'm saying her name wrong. It introduces the movie not as her character, but as herself, a technique designed to reinforce the fake documentary's authenticity. Okay. The real Dr. Tyler was a British actress, Charlotte Miltrid, was cast as the real Dr. Tyler in the archival footage and was created under that fake name to maintain the illusion. Remember, there is no Dr. Tyler. Again, she was fake. It wasn't real. So even in the credits, unlike most films based on a true story, The Fourth Kind omits the standard disclaimer explaining that the events and people were fictitious. Now, I kind of went back and looked at the Wikipedia of this. So I'm going to pull that back up right quick. So, because, Wikipedia has a lot of information and the thing about Wikipedia is the information put into Wikipedia is put in by people. Okay, so, I don't deserve an explanation. Just leave me alone here. Hang on. Okay, so I'm going to pull this back up. We'll talk about that for a minute. This is so irritating. I really don't get it. I just don't know. Okay. So it comes back to, let me see, go back over here. Talks about Universal. Okay, so so the film is a pseudo documentary purporting to be a dramatic reenactment of true events that occurred in Nome, Alaska, in which the psychologist uses hypnosis to uncover memories of an alien abduction from her patients and finds evidence suggesting that she may have been abducted as well. Okay, then it says, starts talking about at the beginning of the film where she's talking about that she'll be playing this character, and she said it's based on a real person named Abigail Tyler, and the film will feature, archival footage. Then it goes on, and she starts talking about it premiered at a horror film festival. Now, that's another thing about this. Back in October of 24th of 2009, it's a really old movie. Before open theatrically in the United States and the United Kingdom, this film's marketing articles attributed to real Alaska news outlets and drew notable controversy and resulted in the studio. Okay, we've already talked about the suit. So the production, the first major film writer, his name is Altunde, I'm going to say this wrong, I know I am, Alsananami. He was a protege of the independent film director Joe Carnahan. The movie is set as a reenactment of an allegedly original documentary footage. It also uses, supposedly, Blair Witch did the same thing. Never before seen archival footage that's integrated into the film. So, and it's just loosely inspired on real missing persons cases, right? It's never said that, how I want to put this? It's never said that, even though it says it's based on true, but it says it's also a mockumentary. So when you put those two words together, automatically it's not based on a true story. Okay. So even in, it did in fact prompt an investigation, by the FBI. While the film suggests extraterrestrial abduction as a cause for the disappearances, the real investigation found, alcohol use, the frigid temperatures, and that's the reason why most of these people disappear. So The Fourth Kind was actually shot. It wasn't even shot in Alaska. That's the thing about this movie. The Fourth Kind was shot in Bulgaria and Squamish, British Columbia, Canada. The lush mountain setting of Nome in the film bears little resemblance to the actual Nome, Alaska, which sits amidst the fringes of the Arctic tree line, where trees can only grow about 8 feet tall, right? So due to the frost exception. Now, some other things about this movie that's kind of strange is whenever it was promoted, I know we're just kind of talking about all the, I wish I could show part of it, but I guess that makes me so mad. Okay, when they promoted this picture though, and they used those fake news stories, etc., they admitted to using it without permission. So they admitted they were wrong, right? And they got sued and they paid for it. So I don't really see why anybody needs to be nobody should still be upset about that, in my opinion, because it was settled. They agreed, they said it, they took responsibility for their actions, right? How it was received. Okay, The Fourth Kind earned, the earnings from this movie is quite shocking too. It earned 12,231,160 during its opening weekend at U.S. box offices across 2,500 theaters. Now, in the United Kingdom, it grossed 851,000 British pounds during its opening weekend. By the second weekend, this film had grossed 1.813458 at the British box office. The film remained in theatrical exhibition through January 2010, totaling $25,486,040 in box office receipts in the United States. This is what's kind of fascinating. The film's final worldwide gross, ready? $49,486,874. Here's the problem, though. I don't know how much it cost to make this film. I would like to know that. But that's not a lot of money for a big blockbuster movie. So it really was not that, it was not received as that great of a movie. So anyway, it's just mainly had negative reviews from critics. The only review agitator was so Rotten Tomatoes, 18% of the 114 critics reviewed them as positive, with an average rating of 3.5 out of 10. That is not positive. That's very poor. So the consensus was, while it boasts a handful of shots, The Fourth Kind is a hokey and clumsy and makes it Close Encounters seemed eerily mundane. Okay, that was their opinion. The Metacritics, which uses a weighted average, assigned to the film a score of 34 out of 100 based on 27 critics, indicating generally unfavorable reviews. Critic Roger Ebert, we all know who Roger Ebert is. We've watched him for a long time. He always gives movie reviews. And he gave it a 1.5 stars out of 4, comparing it unfavorably to The Paranormal Activities or The Blair Witch Project, though he did praise the performances of Djokovic. Stephen Holden of the New York Times panned the film as tediously dragged out supernatural thriller with a few chills and satisfying payoff and many conceptual loose ends. Okay, it sounds like he didn't like it that well either. Owen Gleiberman of Entertainment Weekly called the film wrought and listless, with Richard Corliss of Time wrote, "You do a better downloading in an old Art Bell show." And one of the guys who put out an alien in his freezer and then investigating this evidence of subnormal activity. Okay. I'm just reading some of the reviews about it. Ian Buckwater of NPR likened the film to a cinematic version of chain email hoaxes. Okay, I can see where that makes sense. I can. So, the producer or the filmmaker makes a valiant effort to keep the ruse going, and some of his gambits are nice touches. But The Fourth Kind's chief source of credibility is presumably unintentional reenactment dialogue so painfully stilted that the grainy reality video seems strikingly naturalistic in comparison. Now here's CNN's review. It's kind of funny because they're all over the place. Most of them are pretty low though. So CNN, Brianna Harris says, it's marketing fiction as truth. So that's where she had a problem. The mayor of Nome, Alaska, here's how she sees it. A Hollywood hooey. According to Michaels, people need to realize that it is a science fiction thriller. Michaels also compared the film to the Blair Witch Project, saying, "We're just hoping the message gets out that this is supposed to be for entertainment only." According to the Anchorage Daily News, Nomites didn't much like the film exploiting and unexplained disappearances of Northwest Alaskans, mostly of whom likely perished due to exposure to harsh climate and science fiction nonsense. The Alaska press likened even less the idea of news stories about unexplained disappearances in Nome are just being used to hype up some kind of fake documentary. Okay, I can see that, right? Rickard Groen from the Globe and Mail. He awarded the film a favorable 3 out of 4 ratings. Now, he's one of the few people that gave it a good rating, right? When we figure out the solution seems thin and the puzzle's disappointing, but that's the way with most puzzles, and besides, it's not really the point of The Fourth Kind. Rather, the mission here is to demonstrate how, in this explosive age of dubious information, cynicism can quickly be trumped by gullibility. Okay, so he goes, for a viewer who walks in with a point of view that it's all fictitious and isn't distracted by somebody's editing suite or hocus pocus. How does the fourth kind work on a basic creep out level? Pretty well. A number of points, he says. Jenna Bosch from the Huffington Post also found the film effective, declaring it was one of the scariest things she had seen in years. Simon Abrahams of Slant Magazine likened the film to an extended unsolved mystery segment, noting that the film lets your imagination run wild, just as the grainy real footage lets you see whatever monsters you want amid the blizzard and statically snow. Osomi knows that everybody secretly wants to believe, and when it comes to giving the people what they want, he does not disappoint. So it's all over the place for how people feel about this movie. Does it have a legacy? Not really. And here's the reason why. Because it's unfavorable reviews at the time of its release, the fourth kind has gone on to develop a cult following. Okay, so now, so this is what's kind of funny about this. Hey there, Leslie, how you doing, girl? It's okay if you're late. Hey, it's okay. Listen, we had a little hiccup because all of a sudden we got a little, and I wanted to show the scene where she starts screaming, when she starts remembering when she's under hypnosis, what she thinks she saw. Well, I wanted to show that. Of course, we get the little copyright thing, bang. So I had to stop, and we're just now having to talk about it, which kind of makes me upset, but that's okay. We'll just keep going, right? We know YouTube can be, what's the word we want to use? Persnickety? Anyway, so despite the unfavorable reviews, the fourth kind has gone on to develop this cult-like following. So in the interviewing years, writer John Kenneth Murr wrote in horror films. So many critics found that the dramatizations of the fourth kind to be cumbersome and the Hollywood scenes over-designed. Of course, it was not filmed in Hollywood. We know that. It wasn't even filmed in Nome, Alaska. So it was actually in Canada where this is filmed. So he goes, he goes, Brenda Morrow, writing for The Bloody Disgusting in 2016, commended the film's ambiguous depiction of extraterrestrial abductions, noting that the film manages to make alien abductions terrifying, something that only a handful of movies have accomplished. It does so by applying to aliens the same principles that are usually applied to ghosts. They're kept off-screen, ambiguous, and the audience never once sees a single alien. So, while available for streaming on Netflix, the film went to viral on social media platforms such as TikTok, with users remarking that the film had traumatized them and left them unable to sleep. Really? In 2024, a list compiled by IndieWire, the fourth kind was ranked as the 6th scariest alien film of all time. Now, that was in India. Okay. So, let's look at some of these. Let me look at this over here. Okay. I'm going to read to you the Nome Nuggets. This was their article about this movie. So Nome Nugget is just a weekly newspaper that's in Nome, Alaska, and serves the entire northwest region of Alaska. Additionally, it's printed in Anchorage. It was awarded Best Weekly Newspaper in Alaska in 2012, 2021, 2022. So, and it's cheap. It's a cheap newspaper. It's only like 50 cents each. Let me go back over here. Let's see. Because I can't show any of it now. We're just having to kind of talk about it. This is really just messing up the whole thing here. It's really irritating. I just don't like that. So let me come over here and pull this other thing up that I put on my, I'm going to find the cult following for the fourth kind. Because knowing that people, it gained its own cult following. Like so many other movies have cult followings, but it's not really talked about a lot, right? But they're out there. Cult following for the fourth kind. Here we go. Oh boy, just messes up your whole thing when you can't show what you want to show. Okay. All right. Okay. Let me go find it. It says. The cult following for the fourth kind. Here's the reason why it has this cult following. Okay. All right. Now we're back over here on Reddit. Now, Reddit has a lot of information on it. A lot of people don't go to Reddit, but maybe you should because there's a lot of information on there that it's really worth reading, So, here's the discussion from Reddit about the fourth kind. Am I the only one who can't stand this movie? Just watched it with my girlfriend, and I thought that the way the movie tried to deceive the audience with the real footage angle was trashy as hell. I just found it cringy and inducing. It doesn't help that the population of the real town is 51% native, and there are no indigenous people in the film whatsoever. Okay, I can see that. There are also apparently has an extremely low population of owls as well. Okay, the real people who have gone missing are not mentioned at all in this movie, which has done nothing but anger the town. They are represented by an organization who have tried to reach out to Universal about this movie, but they have refused to talk to that organization or journalists. It's quite disgusting. Now, this is from Reddit. This is not me. There is no evidence of any real abductions in Nome, Alaska, but there is a very real issue of drug and alcohol in the area, which the local population and the FBI believes are very bad mixes with the harsh weather. Okay, I will agree with that. Addiction is among the indigenous population is a very real issue, along with the authorities refusing to not accurately investigate or ignoring missing person cases of an indigenous people. Now, we know that indigenous people are there are more of them missing that are never looked for, never talked about, they're ignored. They are ignored. There are so many of them. There are right now, I think it's, last I heard, 300,000 children that came across, I think they came across the borders, the way I understand this, that are just missing. They were not accounted for. Nobody knows where these kids are. A lot of these kids were put over the border with people they don't even know because their parents wanted them to come here and try to have a better life. Well, when they did that, it caused huge disaster because a lot of these kids were sold into the most horrible situations, and that's why they're not accounted for. But anyway, we're going to move on past that. On top of all that, the actual movie quality is very low. It makes sense that the writer-director never wrote or directed another film. So this is his one and only, right? Just a TV episode afterwards. What are your thoughts? It seems like the whole population of Nome, Alaska hates this movie, and rightfully so. Apparently, some people in the comments think that they found footage or parts of the film that are real. They are not. They are all faked, and those are all actors. Nothing in the movie took place. What did take place? The real hundreds of disappearances that actually took place in Nome, Alaska. Those people are actually gone, and they are not coming back. That is what everything that took place is. And that's what thinks the movie is based on. But I don't think the movie is based on that. I don't. So, oh, Jesus, that's another thing here. Let me go back over here. I don't think that's what it's really based on myself. I know people want to say that, but, oh, shoot. Where did we go? Here we go. Okay, let me go back to where I was. Oh, shoot. So I don't think that's what it's based on. Then here's another one. Paranormal Activity uses fake footage and calls it real too. What BS, huh? And then it goes, also, not many owls. Angle made me laugh. Yeah, that's why the owls showing up in the people's windows was a key part. The population weren't used to seeing them. They all of a sudden, dozens were seeing them every night, and the same one, and probably didn't use real names as to not disclose personal information and or offend anyone. And yeah, it's just a movie, right? So I think there's just, what I really want to find, though, and I have to figure out where I found that this morning when I was looking for all this, is what makes it a cult movie. Okay, so we're going to find that. Let's see what makes. Whoops. Okay, here we go. Just bear with me for a second, guys. It's actually, I think it's more fun to just find our information together and just read through it, together. Okay, so what makes the fourth kind a cult movie? Okay. Here we go. Ooh, how about that? Now let's see. Okay, so is it a cult classic? That's the question they're saying. It received a lot of unfavorable reviews from critics, but most was a modest box office success and only grossed $49.5 million worldwide. Now, that's not a lot of money for a movie like that. The film has gone on to attain a cult following in the years since its release. What makes it a cult movie? Let's see if it'll show me anything. All right. A movie becomes a cult film by building a dedicated, passionate fan base that champions it, often despite a lack of initial mainstream commercial for critical success. These films are typically unconventional in subject and style or storytelling. feature niches or transgressive themes, and it inspires active community engagement, such as costumes, special screenings, and reenacting the dialogues, which not always are high quality. Cult films are cherished for their uniqueness and ability to forge a community outside the mass culture. So that's what I guess makes it a cult film. So it has low mainstream appeal, and it's unconventional content, the community engagement, contradictory qualities, because it is very contradictory. It is a very contradictory movie. For the longest time, though, let's see what it says here. Now it talks about these owls not being, they're not native to Alaska, to Nome, Alaska. But what makes the owl represent? Why is the owl even in the movie? Now that's the question too. In the horror movie, The Fourth Kind, the owl is a recurring unsettling symbol and perceived alien entity. So they're saying that the owl is the entity, all right, and perceived that it's going to that it stares at patients before their abduction. So it comes to the window, it's staring at you. That tells you you're going to be abducted. That's what the whole thing about the owl is in this movie, or that's what they're saying it is. That it's deliberately mimicking the features of the alleged alien abductors, a tactic to induce a state of mind before abduction. The owl acts as a psychological shield for the patients, their minds projecting a natural creature to cope with the terrifying reality of alien abduction, a phenomenon they can barely comprehend or remember. So I think that's kind of interesting as to why the owl is even in the movie. So it's just a very deceptive. It's deceiving basically it's deceiving all of us when we see the owl and the people that it's going to abduct right there. So anyway, just want to talk about that for a second. Yeah, I know. Star's going, damn, I know, I can't stand it when they do that. But anyway, so now that I can't show any of it, we're just going to have to talk about that. And we can just talk about other things too if you want to. It's fine, whatever. So irritating. But we're going to do, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. So Saturday night at 8 o'clock, myself and Sprinkle, I know y'all know who Sprinkle Donut is. If you've been in any of the chats that we go to are all over the place. Like we go see Justin, some of the other people. Well, Sprinkle Donut is in those chats. She's really a sweet person. And I kind of met her through chat. And we had a lot of things in our life that were kind of the same. Like we both lost some children. We're both about the same age. Anyway, so we decided, you know what? Let's have a little fun. So we have created the Little Red and Sprinkled Experience. So Saturday night at 8 o'clock, we're going to go live. And here's the plan. We want people to just call in and ask us any question you want to, whatever it is. We'll just all discuss it, and then we'll try to decide if we have an answer or not. So it's kind of like a question-answer game show, but we're doing it live with the audience, and everybody gets to interject and give their thoughts and feelings too. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. We are also going to have a special guest as soon as I can get him. Well, he's agreed to come on, but we don't have a time set up yet. I need to give him time to let his audience know as well. So this person is on YouTube, and he also covers the Little Horror case a lot. I really like him. I like his style. Let me pull him up right quick for you. He's very to the point. He's very blunt. Let's see, it's Gunners. Okay, hang on a second, guys. It's Gunners Collective. I don't know if you've seen him or not, but if you get a chance, go over and watch Gunners Collective, view his channel, go watch his stories or go watch him cover the Little Horror manual case. He's done a really good job with that, and he's there in California, so he has his ability to find and see things that we don't see, right? So I'm really excited to have him come on and talk to us. I want him to give us his story. How did he start? What made him decide to get a YouTube channel? I understand that he has some prison experience, and from that grew into wanting to come onto YouTube, and he's very successful with his show, and so I really appreciate that. So we're going to have him come on too at some point. But anyway, this is just going to be a little short live about The Fourth Kind and the mockumentary and all the negative press and everything that happened in that movie and how it was perceived. And really, for a long time, you could not watch it for free. You'd have to rent it from somewhere. And all of a sudden, it appeared on YouTube as a free movie. I thought, wow, why? Why is it coming on YouTube as a free movie? So anyway, I'm going to get back to my day, and I guess I'll talk to you guys later. Sorry about them striking the most important part of the movie is when she starts screaming and retelling her story. This is what, that one scene in this movie is what sets the stage for the whole movie, really. Because they are looking at her like she's telling a lie. This is not true. This is not true. But in her mind, it is true because this is what she thinks she sees, right? They, the ending of this movie, the one thing I don't like about this movie is the ending where it talks about, and her daughter was never found, never seen again, blah, blah, blah. Well, but they never really said, well, they're trying to say, they're trying to say that she saw her daughter being pulled into the alien ship. She saw her daughter floating through the sky. That somebody else saw her daughter floating through the sky, but the child was never seen again. But she kind of remembers at the very end of the show the stabbing of her husband that she did. So it makes no sense at all at the ending. But anyway, that's enough about that show. You all have a wonderful day. I just wanted to run on for a little time and talk about that. Good to see you all. Thank you for stopping by. And sorry that YouTube decided not to work with us on this today. Bye, guys. Have a good afternoon. Good Lord.